Now, for this, the basic components that we are going to use is usually these are standalone computers, and these components are what we call network interface card. So this is a common term used, or NIC or NIC. It's an add-on card that is plugged onto the motherboard expansion slot and provides a connection between computer and the network. Now, uh, network medium is a cable that plugs into the network interface card and makes the connection between the computer and the rest of the network. So, example of a network medium. Network medium can be a cable or what? Anybody? Network medium can be a cable or
Wireless, sir.
okay, wireless, or we use a radio signal. So you could have a wireless network interface card, but you need to connect it to the computer. And also we have the last is you have the interconnecting device. This component isn't always necessary because two computers can be connected directly with a cable, like what we did on our first modules, Module 1, Module 2, and Module 3. So we connected a computer, a laptop, to a computer. So what was the connection that we use? What was the connection we use in our module?
Cable, sir.
So we use a crossover cable. So crossover cable is used to connect the same devices, while straight cable is used to connect different devices. But as of now, modern devices, modern network devices have logic. They could determine if you connect a straight or a cross over cable. So in this case, so the logic behind this is it gives opportunity for both devices or cable to be run in the computer, not just for the configuration, but also in any case you could configure it whether it is going to be straight or crossover. Now for the next, this is an example of a network interface card. So mostly, you could see this being attached at the back of your device. Later in Pocket Tracer, we will try to see the back part, or what you call those this. What you call this part? These are your
LAN port, sir.
This is
Port,
are
sir, mga port.
these are your ports. So this is another port, and this is another port. So in this case, you use this to connect devices. So likewise, this you could use to another device. This one you could use to connect to RS232. This one is for your physical device or your cable. That is your Ethernet cable. And in order for the network interface card to run, it must interact to the software and hardware. So what do we need for them to interact? We need a
Driver, sir.
driver and also a standalone OS into the network OS. So aside from your operating system in your computer, there must be a network OS also to manage the network. And the software allows a word processing program to open document or a server knows how to request a web page or send an email. Now, it's also the software that communicates between the OS and the network hardware. So the network software can be divided into following categories. So there is what we call network client and servers. Network client software requests information that is stored on another network computer or device. Network server software allows the computer to share its resources by fielding resource requests generated by network clients. So, as a user, what would be your part? Are you the server or the client?
Client, no, sir.
So, client. So, likewise, as of now, in this remote class, you are the network client, and your network server is your what? In your home now. Who is the network server? Is home,
Sir, sir. Sir,
your home router, or that would be the server or your ISP or your internet service provider. So they provide you internet, and you are the client of this service provider. And in cases, we have also protocols. So when the client and server needs to send information to the network, they must pass it to the network protocol. So what are the protocol that we have? So we have the IP or the TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, or the Internet Protocol, which allows they allow to set rules and formats a computer. So they allow format. So what are the format? So these are arranged into IP addresses. And these IP addresses are first, they are arranged into bits of information. That's why you have 192, 196, 168, because these are values of your IP addresses, and each provides you a specific location. So 192.168.1.1. So it gives you an information about the ID of your computer. And we have also the network interface card driver. So after the network protocol has formatted a message correctly, it hands the data off to the network interface card driver for transmission onto the network. Now, for the steps on how your network communicates. So most network communication starts by using needing to access a resource to another computer, such as web server or file server. A user attempt to access network resources is summarized in the basic steps. So, for example, there's a bad guy using a backdoor attempt to access the network, and you are the person who are currently doing the remote class. So, what will happen on this step? First, an application tries to access a network resource by attempting to send message to it. Then the network client software detects the attempt to access the network, and the client's software formats the message generated by the application and passes the message to the network protocol. So your network protocol is under circumstances is on this side, and the network protocol packages the message in the format suitable for the network and sends into the network interface card. So the driver sends the request to the sends the data in the request to the network interface card, and it converts it into a usable information to the user. So in this case, so the intruder try to access your what? What is the device? You have the
CCTV.
CCTV camera, and he is going to check if how many are the user of the computer. And in this case, if he is successful, he could manage to see what are you doing or what are the things that you are using on your computer. So that is a user attempt to access network. Now, for the next, we have also another way. So that was the first side of communication session. Now, for the second one, the most of them involve client trying to access network resources and serving the server providing those resources. The steps taken onto the server side are essentially the reverse of those client side. Now, on your network interface card, on the server receive signals from the network medium and converts them into message data. In this case, it was going to be read by the network interface card driver, and the NIC driver passes the message into the network protocol. And for example, on this diagram in figure 14, you are the network, and what are you going to say? Hello, are you there? Then the server will ask, yes, I am here. Can you give me this page or URL? Yes, here it is. So it means that there are also a reverse scenario wherein you could connect to the server, and as a client, you will receive the information using the network interface card. So the network protocol determines which server software the message is targeting, and passes the message to the designated software. And what example of a software that allows you to communicate? Like, for example, we have the in the web. Example, when we start the communication, for example, so in Google Classroom, I am the uh, the administration of the class. So I'll send you the message that this is the Google Classroom link that you're going to into. And if you're going to request that you're going to go in the class, so I will allow you to go, like I will click admit. So I will admit. So if there are so many students who's going to log in, or if you're going to admit, so there will be some pop up in my screen that there are like 9 students. So I will view them and I will admit all of them. And that's how client server works in Google Classroom. And also I have also control to manage your output, the result of your assignment or your module. So in cases when I try to grade you, there will be also an information that you receive a grade already of your assignment or your lab work. And in cases, that's how client and server works. So remember that a computer can have many clients like you as students. And also, I could also invite my co-faculty teacher also to the class. Also, but I will try to control on what things they could do. I also could allow you to be muted, And in this case, I will not allow you to be muted because I want you to have a interactive discussion with this lecture. But in cases, have you have you tried to go in some of the webinar or seminar in Google or IT seminar like in Cisco? Most of the time, the attendees are muted so that they will not be interrupted. For example, when somebody came late on the seminar, so they will not hear the tone, oh, there's somebody is late, but he will have it notification that there's somebody who want to enter the seminar. So in cases that happens, I will be able to know, there's somebody's going to enter, so I will click him, admit, and that's how it works. Now, for example, a computer running in a Windows server, so there will be a mail server and a file server. So each server function requires a different server software. So that's the case of Windows Server. Now for Google Classroom have a different server, as well as we have also a different server for Google Meet. So so there's just a code that being sent to me that this is the new Google Meet code that the student could enter, as well as in every day there will be a new generated code for each Google Meet. Now, for the fourth one, we have the server software, which allows the to receive the messages and response by sending the requested data to the client computer. So using the four-step outline previously. So this is the server software. Okay. So this guy attempted to connect to your server and try to check if what are you doing, or he can send information that you will access, and he will try to check your password, your username, and that's how it goes for the server software. So whatever you receive a message, so that's it. Now for the network models, so we have two types of network models. So first, we're going to discuss peer-to-peer network. So what is a peer-to-peer network? So most computer function as clients or server. Your computer, if I am going to allow you to be a client, so you could be a client also. Or if I want you to be a server, I could allow you. So it depends on the circumstances or scenario or environment. So example here, a computer can act as a server by sharing a printer, and it's connected to, and simultaneously it can act as client by accessing the file shared by another computer on the network. Now, this what happens if you're going to go to a computer shop where you're going to print a document. So what will happen? So when you're going to the computer shop, so this computer will access the resources from this server. So let's try when it goes to this. Okay, so first this, I think, going to this, and you have access now going to this side. So this going to this, and this going to this. So the server can be, you could connect to everyone in the network by using the work group model. So because all computers on this type are peers. So there's no leader, uh, there's nobody like administration or admin like me if I'm going to be a peer in your group. So I could be also a student. Likewise, all things are equal. So there's no hierarchy. So there's no centralized control or security over the shared resources. So that's why if I'm going to make it public, so it's going to be open to all. And any user can share resources on his or her computer with any other user's computer. And each user can determine what level of access other user can have to his or her shared resources. So remember your what? As you remember, Cisco is having also peer-to-peer network wherein you could use your username and password whether you're using your mobile phone or computer. So we call it credentials. So when you use username and password, so you call it credential. And you could use this if you have already been approved or be verified by the network. Now, if somebody is going to use your username password, also, it's going to be a valid credential. So next is the server based network. So next is the server based network, or we call it the client server. So because this one is uh, there are certain computers take on specialized roles and function mainly as servers, or an ordinary user machine to tend to function mainly as clients. So for example, this is your what? Server or client? Is this your
Server, sir.
server? So for example, this is your server. Mm, which is the client? Which is the client? These are the client. So these are the client. So whatever the server going to send, you will receive information from the server. So you receive here a mail, receive a mail. So this is later we'll talk about the symbols we will use in Packet Tracer because we have not yet identified the symbol that we will use. And also, we only use computer, laptop, and the cables. So next few slides, we will discuss about the things that we will use in the Packet Tracer. Now, what are example of the server? So we have uh, Windows Server 2012. So this also we have Red Hat Enterprise, Linux, and you have Unix. These are OS designed primarily for server use. Example on this side, what is the server we use? What is the symbol? What type of server we use here?
Windows
Windows,
Server.
sir.
So Windows, correct. Thank you. So this is your Windows server, and it manages how many computers? So we have
That
uh,
Okay, sir.
Three,
three.
sir.
So that's how Windows Server works. So also, server-based network is called domain-based model, where the networks allow centralized control over the network resources, mainly by providing an environment in which a user log on to the network with a single set of credentials maintained by one or more servers running the server OS. So in this case, you could be a server with a credential. So meaning one person is authorized or another one, as long as you have credential being implemented in your server. So if I'm going to give you the credential of being a server, you could be the administration or the admin. And before we move forward, what is a domain? What is domain? So domain is a collection of domain is a collection of users and computers whose accounts are managed by Windows servers. These are called domain controllers. And user and computers in the domain are subject to network access and security policies defined by a network administrator and enforced by domain controllers, and software managing centralized access and security is called a directory service. Later, we'll have simulation on Windows, Microsoft, on internet and network. And on Cisco, you could not see domain because they call it network controller in Cisco, but in Windows, you call it uh, domain network. In Windows, we call it domain network. In Cisco, it's network controller. And in Microsoft, we call it domain controller. So that's the difference. So in Cisco, network controller. In Microsoft, we call it domain controller. Now, what are the difference or between peer-to-peer versus server-based network? What are the advantages and disadvantages? For the network attribute for resource access, so peer-to-peer network uh, is distributed among many desktop client and computers. It makes access to resources more complex, while on server-based network, it has a centralized on one or more servers. There's a streamlined access to resources. So, for example, on this side, I'm going to be your server-based network. I will provide all the resources on the Google Classroom, and you will access to the resources. So there's a unlimited access for you as long as you are in my network. And you could have data, you could open the link, you could answer the question on the Google Classroom if I allow you. But for peer-to-peer network, everything else is open. So I can edit, you could edit my assignment, you could edit everything. So that's the problem with peer-to-peer network. So there's no control over the resources. So everything else is open or distributed. Now for security, uh, users control their own shared resources and might have several sets of credentials to access resources. It is not ideal when tight security is essential. For this, every user have their own shared resources. Example, if you want to share your resources to this email, so you both could share these resources, And also you could control which resources that you're going to share. And if you're really into security, peer-to-peer network is not good. But if you want to have more security, server-based network is ideal. So you could manage it centrally and user have a single set of credential for all shared resources. It is best when a secure environment is necessary. So this one example, if you go with Facebook, you have your username, password, and you could not share resources if you have settings that is private. But if you try to open your account to public, or you make all your information public, so it becomes peer-to-peer. But in this scenario, Facebook is a server-based network. Example of peer-to-peer network, if you want to connect to your classmate's phone, you will establish a connection that is using uh, in Android, what you call it? Uh, Theater, right?
Hotspot.
Hotspot. If you want to use hotspot with one person, you share the same password so that he could have access to your data. Also for iOS, you have AirDrop. So if you use AirDrop, so although AirDrop is safe, it's going to be used only for iOS or iOS devices. But for Android, if you have an Android phone, whatever is the brand is, you could just have peer-to-peer network in other way. Now for the performance, so which one is having the advantage? Desktop OS is not tuned for resource sharing. So our computer is not tuned for resource sharing. Access to shared resources can be hindered by users running application, because if we run application, so there are chances that it would take time to connect to another device. But for server OS, it is tuned for resource sharing, and servers are usually dedicated to providing network services. So this is disadvantage on the peer-to-peer network. Now for it has limited resource sharing when it comes to OS. So mostly you will have to use mobile OS here, but for performance sharing, it's not good because it would reduce the bandwidth if you use uh, peer-to-peer network. And also, and this type is limited to the amount of person being connected, mostly one person to another. But if you want to connect to more person, there's a disadvantage. So there's like one at a time. So you could not connect to two, but it is dependent if you want. It depends on the capacity of your device, which it allows two connection. Example, I had a head wireless headset. It can only connect to two devices. So it's a peer-to-peer, but it doesn't allow to connect to three or more devices. So that's limited performance for peer-to-peer network. And also for the cost, since there is no dedicated hardware or server OS required, the initial costs are lower. But the productivity, there's lost productivity caused by increasing complexity and raise cost in the long run. Now, since this makes the device private. So when you have to secure the device in the near future, peer-to-peer network will be on demand because it's going to be easy to communicate to a person by using peer-to-peer now. The complexity of this device makes it more secured as it is a disadvantage. So this is the challenge for peer-to-peer network. And when it arrives in the near future, this would have to cost a lot because this is going to be a private peer-to-peer network. So it's going to be a monopoly on this side. But for this, there's a higher upfront cost because of dedicated hardware and software, and there is administrative support. So you have support by Cisco, and it's going to be easy if you have problems to support this server-based network, and it is centralized. So and the cost is high because you could accommodate a large number of client to connect to the server side. So this is the advantages of the network systems. And for your, we go now to your first laboratory. We are not going to use Pocket Tracer, but we're going to use your own computer. So a second, I'm going to change and we move to the entire screen, and this would be the result. So what you're going to do first, on the first step, you need to find network and internet on your Windows computer. So you type, okay, sure. So first, you're going to type network and internet. So network and internet is under the control panel. So I'm going to click network and internet. So this is your uh, the location of your uh, is the second icon on your side, on your left side. So you have click network internet, and you could see you could have to view the network status and task. And this is the public network. So now I'm using Wi-Fi. So you could check the connection. You have the public network. And this is the internet service provider. This Vodafone. So this is the speed that you could. So SSID is your identification of your internet service provider. For example, this is Vodafone. And we have a duration of already 8 hours connected. The speed is that is 433.3 megabit per second, and these are the bytes being sent. So this is what I received. Now you could go to the properties. There is a wireless properties and details, so you could also try to check on this. So this is the details or the network connection details. So this is the IP address, IPv4, and I have also IPv6. So this is the description of the device, and I could try to check the adapter. is the wireless adapter, Qualcomm Atheros. And you have this is your media access control address or your physical address, MAC. This is the 12 digit, and this is your IP address. Now, for your wireless properties, you could check. This is the internet service provider. So you have this. So we are using access point, wireless access point. So these are the SSID and the security. Now, on this side, you could put the password, but if you this is doing the manual security key, or you could type the password on the device on your home router. Okay, so that's it. So you could have the signal quality. If in Philippines we have low signal quality, you will have only 4 bars or 3 bars. You could see this also in your phone if you are near 5G, so you have high-speed internet on this side. Now, that's it for the first activity, I think. So describe. So what you're going to do on this task is just to, view the network status and task, and check the Wi-Fi Ethernet status and view the properties. Look for the Internet Protocol version 4. So where can we find this? So as we go back to your, so where can we find the network version 4? So you go to, for example, your internet options. So here you can find your internet properties, and you could check uh, your connections. Now, if you have LAN, you could click on this, but since we don't have a LAN, so I have only used the Wi-Fi. So, uh, and you could also check your this, and you could view the devices. Nawala. So I disabled the network discovery, so I will turn it now for public. Why I disabled the network discovery? So that you have the network infrastructure. This is the wireless router. The the properties of wireless router: TP link, the manufacturer, the model, and the MAC address that you have the access. And you have also this one. There are two. So I could enable this. So if you could not connect, so in this example, you have this one from another network. So meaning if you try to connect on this, you cannot connect because you are only connected on this uh, router. And this one is basically is used. I use this for. So in PLDT, if you want to connect to the box, example, you need to go to the password. So you will check the box. This is the device that I have, but I don't want you to just because we don't have similar internet service provider, so it's going to be different. Your interface, my interface here in Vodafone is different in PLDT, so much better if I have PLDT now. since I am not yet in Philippines, so this happens. Okay, so we move forward. So describe the network adapter. So you have already found the network adapter. Again, what's the method that you're going to use? Uh, First, you go to control panel and you go to network and internet, and you view, and you try to check this, and you go to properties. Once you go to properties, now you could be able to see the where's the internet protocol version 4, this one. So this is your transmission control protocol or internet protocol. This is the default wide area network protocol that provides communication across diverse interconnected networks. Also, I don't know if you trying to check there in Philippines, if you have already TCP, this is the latest version of communication also. So you try and select properties, and you will have this one. This is the properties of your IPv4, and it is obtaining IP address automatically. But if you want to specify your IP address, you could also specify it. But for the meantime, we are not going to specify it. And there's also alternate configuration because we are not yet discussing the subnet mask. Okay. So, but we will touch lecture 3 on this lecture, but we could not touch, I think, until the subnet mask because on the other way, you don't have yet enough background to start with the packet tracer. So I think laboratory module 04 is quite straightforward. Any questions on your laboratory?
Nang
Any
group na
question?
sigapon, sir.
Yes. Any question on this? Yes, group, because not all of you have internet and you could have just a similar output and this is just easy. It's not really difficult.
Then kung magpasa, sir, ng isa lang katao, magpasa sa isa ka group or individual, magyapon, magpasa sa G-class. No?
Individual, pero you need to put your group number, di ba? I have their
Nang
group,
sa isa
then
server, isa lang ma-work, isa lang ka,
ang
ano
ano
rin.
lang, ang malainay lang ang ano, ang malainay lang ang last name, first name. Kay karon kung pati ang ngalan mo ging kopya tapos siya parehas ka mo group, doble ang ging submit. Meaning wala siya nagano, di ba? Isla nung isla
Sige,
nung
sir.
anang iyong ngalan. Although parehas ang group, pero ang ngalan hindi parehas eh karon kung ging copy paste siya lang, meaning wala na siya ging ubra biskan rename na lang sang file name.
Hapon
Okay.
gani.
So, amo na dra mabalaan kung may araman ano rubrics. Yeah, I will try to check if when you submit, don't just submit print screen and nothing no discussion next time.
Sige, sir.
So, it's like nag ano ka lang nag print screen then submit. You try to discuss something. What did you learn from the module?
Kumakadentrano ka.
Nang
Yes.
namangkot sila sa kung ang answer ko no parehas lang sa isa ka group. For example, group 1 same answer sa amo na nga mga person magpasa.
Oh, the same lang. Kay ang makinalainay lang ang discussion. Amo nang
Kasi
gambal.
kay
Oh.
question or
Oh,
explanation nila.
explanation ng malain kay siyempre imo na na personal yang imo yan na ano yan ang sa laboratory.
Sige
Ang
sir,
ano
thank
ko
you.
lang sa laboratory, what did you learn on the laboratory module? Amo mo lang na
Sige sir.
nothing to discuss. Okay, so that is for your laboratory module 4. I think it's easy. It's not really difficult because but you need a personal computer because you could not do this in your phone. But I don't know with Android, you could check also. But in iOS, it's quite easy, but I don't know with Android. You go to settings and check your network adapter, and that's it. And you could also see the MAC address or physical address of your phone, meaning when you try to connect, this physical address is being taken by the internet, or it's like the ID already. That when next time you're going to log in to the internet, you are being identified by the ISP that this device is already connected to this internet protocol. So that's why it's easier that if you already connect to this uh, connection, it's quite straightforward na you have to uh, the connection will be faster if you save the password already. But if the server was able to change was able to change the password, so you will again try to check if you could have access. Now we go to the lesson 3. So in lesson 3, we covered the network devices, the topologies, IP addressing, subnetting of network systems. And first, we will discuss on the network hardware essentials that will be used also for your packet tracer. And also for the network topologies and IP addressing, we'll try to finish on this side first, and possibly next Monday we could touch up network topologies and all of this. Okay, so we have the network hardware essentials. So what are your network hardware essentials? So first we have routers. Routers are typically have 2 or more network ports to which the switches or hubs are connected to form an internet uh, work. Hubs and switches connect to computers to local area network, while routers connect to LANs to one another. So meaning routers can be connected via LAN to one another, and your hubs and switches to your local area network. So you connect hubs and switches to computers, and your routers are connected to your LAN, and routers mainly connect to routers itself, while your hubs and switches must connect to computers. Now, which one here is a router on the diagram? Which one is a router?
Ang
These
may
are
antena sir.
Upper right, sir.
This one is
Upper
a
right.
router. Also, this one is a router, but this has a what? Router
Antena.
siya.
Antenna.
Router siya because a router, and it has also a wireless connection. So these two are routers. These are home router. Later, we'll try to see the view on your packet tracer kung ano ang sulod sini. This is home router, and the next one is hub. is the central connecting device for computers instead of a merely way to extend the network. So a hub is also used to extend a network, but this hub is more on physical or more on cabling. Now, on this example, which one is hub? Hub, which diagram is hub? Hub is
Ang window box.
this one. This one is hub. Okay, I will put labels so that you will have. So number one, this is a router. And number two, this is hub. And number three, which is a network switch, is used to connect multiple computers so that they can communicate with one another, which is network switch or switch. So this is your network switch. And which is your network controller or your domain controller. So network controller is used in Cisco, but in Microsoft, you use the domain controller. It is a computer running Windows Server with Active Directory installed. It maintains a database of user and computer accounts as well as network access policies in the Windows domain. So this is your what? Network
Controller.
controller or domain controller. And we have the fifth. Server is an operating system designed mainly to share network resources, and a computer with the main role of giving a client computers access to network resources, and the software that responds to requests for network resources from client computers. So, which is your server?
Ang sa babaw, sir. Mga
Okay,
tabang.
this one is your five. Okay, so that is your server, and uh, like what we said earlier. So we have Windows Server and other Linux, Unix, and also the last is we have the wireless access point or AP. So access point is like a hub in all the computer. It sends signals through it to communicate to other computers. The obvious difference is that the signal don't travel through physical medium. It travels through airwaves and radio signals. So which is your wireless access point? So you have, which one is your wireless access point from the two?
Ang sa dalom.
Of course, Dalong. Okay. This is your repeater or wireless access point. And this one also you could have this as your wireless access point because it has a wireless also. You could have this. But this is a router, and this is just only this is the correct answer. Now I think we have a difference between the hub and the network switch. Okay, so what's the difference between the two? Okay, so because switch is capable of forwarding frames to only a single port instead of all ports, the hub does. It handles several computer conversation at one time. So in each device, you have full network bandwidth. So what is bandwidth? What is bandwidth? The
Sa internet, as mo makita.
Ang range ng frequency, sir.
the size, right? So megabit per second. So that is your bandwidth. So for example, you have 100 uh, megabit per second. So you will have a, bigger bandwidth. Example, this. So we'll have when a device send data, it receives simultaneously is called full duplex mode. Now, what is a full duplex? If your data send 100 megabit per second for the sender, and also it replies 100 megabit per second from you. As we go back to the description here, example, when you send 100 megabit a second to the server, it responds also to the same bandwidth. So this is example of for example, a full duplex. But if your data sends only half, so you are not going to, when a device can send or receive, but not both at the same time, it's called half duplex. That's the difference between the two. So hubs operate only in half duplex mode, but switches can operate in both half duplex and full duplex mode. A network switch is used to interconnect multiple computers so that they can communicate with one another. What is the advantage? So the advantage is that these switches are made has made them a choice in all the networks of all sizes. So mostly nowadays we use switches, but for small network there are still using hub. I think we have. Okay, so we have the Cisco terminologies. I forgot. So these are the Cisco packet tracer terminologies. Now, yesterday, we have already demonstrated the ping, or we call it the Internet Control Message Protocol. Internet Control Message Protocol, messaging protocol. So this allows us to what? To send message or to send data to another computer. If the one is on or off, and what was the reply? There is send and receive, right? When we ping two computers, so you receive the IP address of the another, and also you receive the physical address of the another. What is Internet Protocol address? So it is a 32-bit address assigned to devices as an identification in the network. And we have Ethernet is one of the most common LAN standards for hardware and communication and cabling. We have the fast Ethernet interface. So this is your 100 megabit per second Ethernet port. In Packet Tracer, a graphical user interface may be used to configure the interfaces. And also we talk about the what is OSI. This is the Open System Interconnection is the international standardization organization for managing the rules of networking. So there is a 7-layer framework that is looking for at the network protocols and devices. So we have the last layer is application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, and physical layers. So all your cabling is on physical layer. When you're going to send message, you're going to have data link, and when it's going to be transformed into a, a digital information or address, it's going to be on the network. And once it's transferred, so you will have in a transport layer. And we have this 6 is the protocol data unit or PDU. This is a grouping of the data appropriate to a given layer in the OSI model. Packets, OSI layer 3. What is OSI layer 3? That is your, anong layer 3? Naton gani? Layer 3. So, that is your network. So, we just go back here. I have discussed this already. So this one. This is layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, layer 5, layer 6, layer 7. So on this side, where your IP addressing, this one is your ARP. What is ARP? So we do the ARP, right? Address,
Yes, sir.
resolution, protocol. So IP is your Internet Protocol address. So that's the OSI or Open System Interconnection Reference Model. Okay. So layer 3 is your network layer or your IP addressing. Next is we have the device tables. So in this table, you have the ARP or the address resolution protocol. This allows you to check what is the name of the computer, what is the type, and the switching and the routing tables. Well, why do we have this? Because in the long run, you will have several computers being connected. So later, we'll try to have example. I have made several computer already, simulation in Packet Tracer. So they contain information regarding the devices and protocols in the network. Also, we have the ARP table. It's the address resolution protocol table, stores the pairings of IP addresses and Ethernet MAC addresses. And scenario, one topology with a set of PDUs placed on the network to be sent to a specific time. Using different scenarios, experiment with different combination of packets using the same base topology. So next week, we're going to discuss some of the network topologies that we're going to use. But for the meantime, let's become familiar with the packet tracer devices that you will use most of the time. So this is your laboratory module 5. So first, we're going to create your first network. Then start creating a network by first selecting the end devices and adding generic PC and generic server. I will let you do this at your home and just follow the instruction. But for the meantime, let's going first to the activity. Okay, so you're going to set up this at your home, this module. But before that, we will be familiarized with the This is just a simple task for module 5. And we go back to the slide. Stop share. Okay, so we go to Packet Tracer. Okay, we are now going to the Packet Tracer. Now here's the thing that we're now how can you do this? So you could just have it this one, and I have just created some examples of the network, the possible network that can be implemented. And I'll just going to introduce you to the common symbols that we're going to use. And please take note of this because this would be part of your exam also because this is very basic. Okay. Okay, to make it more visible. So these are the devices. Where can you find these devices? You can find this in the network devices. You click network devices. Now, if you're going to click, commonly we use this network router 5. So you have inside the port router 5, and you can open this. So we're going to open this. Did you see the router 5 on the screen? Did you see router 5 on the screen?
Yes, sir.
No, the description. The description of router 5 on the screen? Wala.
Wala, sir.
Okay,
Why, sir?
Wala, sir.
because I will try to
Sir.
change the setting. Maybe I will share it by desktop. This is the problem with Google Classroom because entire screen supposed to be. So this is the entire screen already. So I think you click this. Did you see the router 5 already after clicking this? Nakita
Alright,
niyo sa
sir.
screen? Okay. So now
Yes,
we're
sir.
going to check what is inside the router. It's like similar to uh, this one. And take note, your router is turned on already. So it means that you could not add devices, di ba? Kung may power. So you need to turn off this. Take note. This is green is this one is off. And if you press it on, now if you want to put here device that you want to include, so there are description. This device provides switching ports. So since it is on, if you put this, it would not allow you. So you cannot add a module when the power is on. So you need to turn off. And if you want to add these switches, the 4 switches, then you have it. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if you put another one, you could add another. And also, if you want this, it depends on you if you want something. Now, if you want to put cover, if you want cover that one, that's it. And maybe this one, I don't know. Aha, maybe this is it's not compatible. So meaning it is not the correct port to put it. Maybe on another. Why they didn't put this on? There's nothing we can do on this side. So, okay, this is not going to be used, I think. So that's it. Now, when you're going to turn on this, so now you could use, how many ports do we have now? So you have 8 ports already.
8.
So that's it, okay? That's how you're going to put port in your router 5. Okay. And also, this is your server. So you could also have this zoom in. So this is a big cabinet. Okay. There are some interesting facts on this. And this is the turn on off. Why? Because if we put modules like here, you want to add more, or this one, AC, or this, fiber, I think. Yes, fiber. And that's it. Yeah. And this on, and you cannot put, okay? Also, you could put cover if you want to close this. Off, and you put a cover. If you want to put 3G, there, no. Okay. So if you want the original sizes. Now, that's for the server. Now for the switch. Now, this is a switch. If you're going to look at in some, have you went to some areas in CAMC? We have data. You could see this in our ICT department. They have all of this. So also in your computer lab, they have this hidden. So you have this Cisco systems. This is like the similar to the actual module. Now, what are you going to connect here in your switch? You're going to connect the cable, okay? So similar in this example, we have a switch on this side, I think. This one. This one is a switch. So how many computers are connected to this switch? How many
5.
computers? So we have one,
5.
2, 5 computers. Okay. So that's it. Okay. Now, when you try to connect, when it is connected, it's going to be green. But you could still turn on, turn off this. Kaso hindi makita. Hindi na yung power. Yung switch. I think this one.
Hindi na pwede mag-pull, sir. Oh.
Hindi mo lang isang iyan. Ang iyan na size. Hindi ko fully.
Ang wire na ba sa center, so hindi na pwede ma-pull, sir. Ara.
Hindi sa. Hindi sa mga. Mo lang na sa. Okay, so iging ano nila okay lang kay wala man ni sa gali switch kay depende sa connection. Okay. And also server, we are done with server. We have also need to discuss something. Okay, this access point. Okay, access point. What is an access point? Zoom in. Oh, very small. Access point, this is the back part of your access point. This allows you to extend your range of wireless communication. So you could always put here the cable for the internet repeater. We call this a repeater. Why is it repeater? Because it's going to repeat the same signal as the previous one. It's like extending. Example, since wireless is not good if you have so many rooms and obstacle, like if you have a thick wall, kung may wifi ka, pag labot sa imo, wala na, hindi na makasulod sa isa ka room kay pila ka room ang iya na try to connect or i-penetrate sang radio signal. So the more walls that you have, the lesser signal it's going to receive. Or sa Wi-Fi mo, yung ang bar is maybe 1 bar, 2 bars. But if you're near to the wireless repeater, you have the 5 bars. But if you want to connect to another room, that you will put this access point so that it would eliminate you from making so much wires para hindi mahimo halayan ang imo ano ang imo balay. So you put wireless access point kay base pwede na da sa anansang damang or pwede na sa halayan. So it's not good because if it is being exposed to water, the the conductivity of copper, right, reduces also, and it causes also losses, copper loss. And the resistance once na mag mag-connect sa water, what will happen to the resistance? High or low? What we need to achieve? We need to achieve what resistance in the copper? High or low?
Hi, sir.
We need high because once low na ang resistance, so hindi na makatransmit ang imo na makatransmit ang imo na connection, but it's not really good. That's why in Philippines we are really slow in the internet because we have too many wires, and it's difficult, I think, to redo all the wires in the Philippines if given a chance. Like the how you see the PLDT wires and telephone wires, so much task. So I don't know how we're going to solve that problem. So that is the use of access point in order to makita nyo nisa nakatago nisa sa mga park, sa mga wifi, ano, mga free wifi bla. You will see this like in malls, access point, you call it. It's not router, it's just access point. Just to, kung maglagaw ka sa, if you're going to in the mall and you want Wi-Fi access, so you always see these repeaters as this as broadcasting the signal for the internet. So you have one connection for this. Where can we find this, by the way? So if you click network devices, uh, try ko i-zoom ang ano, screen ko. Magnifier. Okay. 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 Okay na magnifier. So here, can you see this? Network devices. So if you click this, you will drag and drop to the workplace. So these are several router that is Cisco based. And if you select below, take note, if you select on the upper side, they will give you the new devices below. So these are switches. So you have here the switches. Now you have the third switch. And you can see inside the switch how many ports it can handle. So you have how many? 24. So 24 ports, this type of switch. And also we have hub. So normally hub nowadays used in telephone. So this we have this hub. Okay. And these are wireless devices. So Meraki and this stuff. So these are home router. This is your my DSL. This is your actually sa habalay nyo. Home router. A very cheap router. So inside your home router, you see this. Regional size. Oh, very small that one. What is the zoom? So 200 na. 300. Okay. This is the switch. Now you could, where is this one connected? Where is this connected? To your,
ISP.
oh, correct. And this one, yellow. Sa inyo balay.
Sa mga devices, sir, ng mga computer.
So, oh,
Mga unit, sir.
if you buy, if you create a LAN cable, tapos you want to connect it to sa kitchen, sa imo na room, sa imo na entertainment room, and this one is on your first floor, second floor, third floor, pwede. Now, if you want to maximize this, you will put a switch, but it doesn't necessarily kasi home lang ni siya. So mostly, we have to connect these two. If you want to extend the signal, sa din naton connect. The previous device I use, ano to gani?
Repeater, sir.
Repeater. So, you put a cable connecting to the repeater and you extend the Wi-Fi of the signal. From there, where's the repeater? Wala di. Okay, we select repeater. Where can we find the repeater? Okay, maybe this access point PT. We have so many devices here. Cell tower. There's cell tower. Okay, we just select any access point example here. And access point. Okay, so you connect it to this side. Yes, this. So you connect this. You will already have another connection to your another house if you have a park or business, you could use this yung repeater so that you could extend the signal. Okay, that's how really good packet tracer is. Although we are not going to have it physical setup, pero in most cases, when you're going to be certified by Cisco for CNA, you need to have it physically. They are not going to have it online. But for Network Essential, you could have a certificate if you finish the Network Essentials. So much better if you have background knowledge. It's better to start on the first one because wala ka mo background sa networking one kay kabudlay nabudlayan ko mag-advance kay base maglingin ulo nyo. And these are example of the network that we will have. There are topology. Example, this one is what? So this is a simple ano lang na very common application. So you have a server and there's a computer also being used. And this computer can control the following devices. This is router, and also this is your what? This is your switch. So this switch is connected, and this is like a setup in the laboratory. This one is like a setup in a small laboratory where you have a router and computer and your server. Also, this could you could only have, I think, this one. But if you want to have a computer in your server, much better. And that's it. This is how good networking is. This is just a basic setup that you could do. And for your activity, I'll take a new. No. Okay. For your activity, so you will have a you need just to have a server. I'll just give you the basic output that I need sa activity nyo. So you have this computer and a server and follow the instruction. Okay? So what is the instruction? What is the wire you're going to use? Okay. Go to the next. Okay.
Straight
Because
through, sir.
straight through. Are you sure? So after you made the wire, so you need to set up the configuration window. Kung i-configure nyo ang IP address by using this, this complete instruction, and you need to follow the instruction and make sure DNS is on, and yeah. So I'll give you now the okay, for this example, you need to use, I think, copper crossover. Copper crossover. So, okay. So this. So fast internet, I think. Okay, fast Ethernet 0. So you have fast Internet 0. Yes, that's it. That is your output. But you need to show the configuration inside. You could use this configuration inside this. And you could follow the instruction. Okay? And maybe this submission will be next week siguro. Or Tuesday. I will put maybe Tuesday.